nefesh av harachaman, yedid nefesh av harachaman, mishochavtecha eritzonecha, mishochavtecha la 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 eritzonecha. Page 128. Yarutz avdecha kemo ayah ishtachave ya la 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 el mul hadarecha yedid nefesh av harachaman, yedid nefesh av harachaman, mishochavtecha eritzonecha, mishochavtecha la 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 eritzonecha. Yarutz avdecha kemo ayah ishtachave ya la 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 el muhadarecha. Just a little above that. Hine matov umanayim shevet achim gam yachad. Hine matov umanayim shevet achim gam yachad. Hine matov shevet achim gam yachad. Hine matov shevet achim gam yachad. Hine matov umanayim shevet achim gam yachad. Hine matov umanayim shevet achim gam yachad. Shabbat Shalom, everyone. We turn in our Siddur to page 120. We'll find the blessing for lighting our Shabbat candles. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech ha'olam asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lehadlik ner shel Shabbat. Page 130, we make our way through the Psalms of Kabbalat Shabbat to say goodbye to the week that has passed us by and to find some rest and some peace as we enter into Shabbat. Page 130, Psalm 95, Lechu neranena l'Adonai, let us sing joyfully to God. Lechu neranena, lechu neranena, lechu neranena l'Adonai. Lechu neranena, lechu neranena, lechu neranena l'Adonai. Naria, naria, l'tzur yishenu, nekadma fana b'todah. Naria, Naria, Titzur Yishenu, Bizmirot Naria Lo, Lechu Neranina, Lechu Neranina, Lechu Neranina, Ladonai, Lechu Neranina, Lechu Neranina, Lechu Neranina, Ladonai. From Psalm 96, the bottom paragraph of the Hebrew on page 131. Yismachu hashamayim v'tagel haaretz, Yiram hayam umelo. Let all of God's creation give thanks for all of the creation in which they exist. Yismachu hashamayim, Yismachu hashamayim, Yismachu hashamayim v'tagel haaretz. Yismechu hashamayim, Yismechu hashamayim, Yismechu hashamayim, v'tagel haaretz. Yiram hayam, Yiram hayam, Yiram hayam, Melo. Yiram hayam, Yiram hayam, Yiram hayam, Melo. Hashamayim, Yismechu hashamayim, Yismechu hashamayim, v'tagel haaretz. Page 132, from Psalm 97, near the bottom of the page. Or zaru ala tzadik ul yishrei lev simcha. For those who are righteous, there will be light. For those who are good-hearted, there will be happiness. Or zarua la tzadik u'yishrei lev simcha. Or zarua la tzadik u'yishrei lev simcha. Or zarua la tzadik u'yishrei lev simcha. Yishrei lev simcha, or zaru la tzadiku. Yishrei lev simcha, Yishrei lev simcha. Lai 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 lai, lai 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 lai, lai 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 lai, lai 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 lai, lai 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 lai, lai 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 lai. Zarua la tzadik u'yishrei lev simcha. Or zarua la tzadik u'yishrei lev simcha. We'll read together at the bottom of page 133 in English from Psalm 98. A psalm. Sing to Adonai a new song, for God has worked wonders. God's right hand, God's holy arm, has won God victory. Adonai has manifested God's victory, has displayed God's triumph in the sight of the nations. God was mindful of God's steadfast love and faithfulness toward the house of Israel. All the ends of the earth beheld the victory of our God. Raise a shout to Adonai, all the earth. Break into joyous songs of praise. Adonai sat enthroned at the flood. Adonai sits enthroned for all time. We speak of praying in front of God's holy mountain. Page 135 from Psalm 99, the last three lines. Romemu Adonai Eloheinu ve'ishtachavu lehar kodsho. Romemu Adonai Eloheinu ve'ishtachavu lehar kodsho. Ki kadosh Adonai Eloheinu romemu. Ki kadosh Adonai Eloheinu romemu. Romemu Adonai Eloheinu ve'ishtachavu lehar kodsho. Romemu Adonai Eloheinu ve'ishtachavu lehar kodsho. from Psalm 29, another psalm of praises of God. On page 137, may God grant strength to God's people. May God bestow upon God's people well-being. Adonai oz le'amo yitain. Adonai yivarech et amo v'shalom. Lai 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 Adonai oz le'amo yitain yitain Adonai yivarech et amo v'shalom Adonai oz le'amo yitain yitain Adonai yivarech et amo v'shalom Lai 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 lai. Page 138 and 139, we welcome in the image of Shabbat. L'chadodi, come my friends, let us greet the bride. We'll sing verses 1 and 2 and 5 and 9. L'chadodi likrat kala, b'nei Shabbat nikabela. L'chadodi likrat kala, b'nei Shabbat nikabela. Lecha dodi likrat kala, b'nei Shabbat nikabela. Lecha dodi likrat kala, b'nei Shabbat nikabela. Shahamor v'zachor b'dibur echad, kishmi'anu el hamiuchad. Adonai echad, u'shemo echad, l'shimo tiferet v'lekilah. Lecha dodi likrat kala, b'nei Shabbat nikabela. Lecha dodi likrat kala, b'nei Shabbat nikabela. Likrat Shabbat lechu v'nelcha, ki mekor habracha, merosh mikedem nesucha, sof ma'aseh b'machshavat tchila. Lecha dodi likrat kala, b'nei Shabbat nikabela. Lecha dodi likrat kala, b'nei Shabbat nikabela. Hit'oreri, ki va'oret uri uri shedaberi kivod Adonai alai diga. Lecha dodi likrat kala, b'nei Shabbat nikabela. Lecha dodi likrat kala, b'nei Shabbat nikabela. We rise, we face the door to welcome in the image of the Shabbat bride with the final verse of the Chadodi. Vo'i v'shalom Ateret bala, am simcha tzora, tochemune am sigula, boi chala Lecha dodi likrat kala, Pnei Shabbat nikabela. Lecha dodi likrat kala, Pnei Shabbat nikabela. So we greeted Shabbat, we'll greet each other. Turn to your neighbors, the people in front of you, behind you, next to you. Wish everyone Shabbat Shalom. And for those of you joining us on TempleShalom.com and joining us on our Temple Shalom YouTube channel, Shabbat Shalom to all of you and welcome. Happy to have you with us as well. Shabbat Shalom, everyone. As we find our seats again, we turn to page 140. On page 140, Psalm 92, a psalm of Shabbat. Tov lehodot Adonai, it is good to give thanks to God, Ozamer l'shimcha elyon, and to sing of God's name in the heights. Mizmor shir liyom haShabbat. Tov lehodot la'Adonai, u'lizamer l'shimcha elyon, u'lizamer l'shimcha elyon. Mizmor shir liyom haShabbat, Tov lehodot la'Adonai, u'lizamer l'shimcha elyon, u'lizamer l'shimcha elyon. Lahakid b'boker chastecha, Emunatecha baleilot, alei asor ve'alei navel alei higayon bechinor. Mizmor shir yom haShabbat, tov lehodot la'Adonai, v'zamer l'shimcha elyon, v'zamer l'shimcha elyon. Simachtani Adonai b'folecha, b'maaseh yadecha aranim, ma gadlu maasecha Adonai me'od, amku machshevotecha. Mizmor shir liyom haShabbat, tov lehodot la'Adonai, v'zamer l'shimcha elyon, v'zamer l'shimcha elyon. Mizmor shir liyom haShabbat, tov lehodot la'Adonai, v'zamer l'shimcha elyon, v'zamer l'shimcha elyon, v'zamer l'shimcha elyon, v'zamer l'shimcha elyon. Page 144, we continue Chatzi Kaddish as we move from our Ma'ariv, from our Kabbalat Shabbat into our Ma'ariv service. Yitkadav, Yitkadash Shmei Rabba, Belmad Yivrachu Tev Yamlich Malchutei, Bechayechon Uv'yomechon, Uv'chayei Dechol Beit Yisrael, Ba'agala, Uv'izman Kaharivim Eru, Amen. Yehei Shmei Rabba Mevorach, Le'alam Ulam Me'amaya, Yitbarak, Yishtabak, Vitpa'ar, Vitamam, Vinase, Vitadar, Vitale, Vitalal, Shemedu Kudusha, Barichu, Leilam, and Kober Chata, Vishihirata, Tushbechata, Vinechemata, Damiran Be'alma, Vimeru, Amen. We rise, page 144. As we move from 144 to 146, exactly what I was thinking. I was staring at 144, and that was the number that popped to it. Page 146, thank you, Lynn. Now, I would have said a prayer on a page that nobody else was on. I would have been by myself, and we don't want that. We, page 146, Baruch Hu. Yai lai 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 lai. Lie that I lie, 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 lie that I lie, 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 lie that I lie, 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 lie. Lie that I lie, 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 lie that I lie, 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 lie that I lie, 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 lie. Baruchu et Adonai Hamevorach. Be seated. On the next few pages, we give thanks for creation. We give thanks for the words of Torah. In our Torah this week, we're beginning that journey into the wilderness. We're walking away from Mount Sinai, where we've crossed through the Sea of Reeds and made our way to that mountain, and Moses has come down the mountain with laws for us, and we're getting ready to enter into what will be 40 years of wandering. And as our ancestors did so, they walked away from the mountain contemplating, as the Torah talks about, the place of Shabbat and how it reminds us of creation, and also how it reminds us of the Exodus, and walking into the desert to receive the laws that will guide us along our path. We begin giving thanks for creation. Page 148. Lai, 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 lai. Lai, 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 lai. Lai, 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 lai. Lai, 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 lai. Lai, 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 lai. Lai, 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 lai. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher bidvaro ma'ariv aravim, bechokma poteach sha'arim, uvitvuna mishana itim, umachalif et hazmanim, umisader et hakochavim, umishmarotei hambarak yekirzono. Lai, 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 lai. ולילה גולל אור מפני חושך וחושך מפני אור Adonai Tzivaot Shemo. Lai 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 חי וקיים, תמיד ימלוך עלינו, לעולם ועד. ברוך אתה, אדוני, המעריב ערבים. לי 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 Lai 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 As we continue on page 150. Say that the words of Torah are words that we learn and teach every day, that they become the length of our days, and we give thanks to God for God's love of giving us those words to guide our lives. Ahavat Olam Beit Yisrael Amcha ahavta, Amcha ahavta. Torah umitzvot, Chukim umishpatim, Otanu limadita, Otanu limadita. Hakein Adonai Eloheinu b'shokmenu v'kumenu nasiach b'chukecha v'nismach b'divrei Toratecha u'mitzvotecha le'olam va'ed ki hein hayenu le'orech yameinu u'vahem Yomam v'layla, nehegi yomam v'layla. V'ahavatcha al tasir, minenu le'olami. Baruch ata Adonai, ohev amo Yisrael. Ohev amo Yisrael. We'll join together in the words of Shema, page 152 and 153. Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto Le'olam Ve'ahavta Et Adonai Elohecha B'chol levavcha v'chol nafshecha Uv'chol me'odecha Ve'hayu hadvarim ha'ele Asher anochi mitzavecha Hayom alavavecha V'shinantam levanecha V'dibarta abam V'shivtecha b'veitecha Uv'lechtecha v'aderech uvshochbecha uvkumecha, ukshartam leot al yadecha, v'hayu letotafot beineinecha, uchtavtam al mezuzot beitecha, uvihish arecha, leman tiskeru, vasitem et kol mitzvotai, v'item kedoshim le'elechem, ani Adonai Elohechem, asher hotzeiti etchem me'eretz Mitzrayim, yot lachem le'Elohim, ani Adonai Elohechem, Adonai Elohechem, emet. On page 157, we come to the Geula, our prayer of redemption. This particular week, this prayer, I think, takes on a strange meaning, because in this prayer we say, "Who is like you, God, among all the gods that are worshipped in the world by different religions, because you're the only one who could bring us out of our slavery in Egypt and bring us toward freedom." Yet this week, our slavery, not quite in Egypt, but on the edge of Egypt in Gaza, brought home not free people, but brought home dead children, and not their mother, although we'll see if maybe their mother is home tonight, but we don't know. But as we sing these words that we'll sing in just a moment on page 158, and we say, "Who is like you, God, among the gods that are worshipped? You delivered us to freedom." Sometimes that freedom comes at a horrible price, and we stand in a time without peace, a time of violence, a time where children become hostages and children are murdered in the name of I don't know what, because I haven't been able to figure it out. But maybe there's some lesson in these words that we'll read responsively on page 157. In a world torn by violence and pain, a world far from wholeness and peace, give us the courage to say, "Adonai, there is one God in heaven and earth. Thy heavens declare your glory. May earth reveal your justice and love." From bondage in Egypt we were delivered. At Sinai we bound ourselves to your way. Inspired by prophets and instructed by sages, time and again we overcame oppressive forces. Though our failings are many and our faults are great, it has been our glory to bear witness to our God, keeping alive in these very dark ages again your vision, we pray, of a world that will be redeemed. Let us continue to work for the day when the nations will be one and at peace. Then shall we rejoice as we sing on the shores. Page 158. Mi chamocha ba'elim Adonai, mi chamocha nedar b'kodesh, Dora tehilo, osefele, mi chamocha ba'elim Adonai, mi kamocha nedar b'kodesh, nora tehilot, osefele, malechutecha ra'u vanecha, okeyayam lifni Moshe u'Miriam, ze eli anu ve'omru, Adonai imloch le'olam va'ed, mi chamocha ba'elim Adonai, mi kamocha nedar b'kodesh. V'ne'emar kifar Adonai Yaakov u'golam yad chazak mimenu, Baruch atah Adonai go'al Yisrael. Page 160. Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu the Shalom. Lie us down, Adonai our God, in peace. V'hamidenu shomrenu l'chaim. And cause us, our guardian, to rise up again to life. Ufros aleinu sukat shlomecha. Spread a shelter of your peace over us. Ushmor tzeitenu uvoinu. Guard our coming and our going. L'chaim u'l'shalom. For life and for peace. Me'atah ve'ad olam. For now and forever. Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu v'shalom v'ha'amidenu shomreinu d'chayim. Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu v'shalom v'ha'amidenu shomreinu d'chayim. In the indented paragraph, Ushmor tzitenu uvoinu l'chaim u'shalom me'atah ve'ad olam. Lai la lai 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 la lai lai la lai 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 la lai lai la lai 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 la lai lai la lai 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 la lai lai la lai 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 la lai lai la lai 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 lai. Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu v'shalom v'ha'amidenu shomreinu v'chayim. Baruch atah Adonai hapori sukat shalom. Hallelu ve'al kol Amo Yisrael ve'al Yerushalayim. Page 162. The people of Israel will keep Shabbat. It will be a sign between God and the people of Israel, for in 6 days God made the heavens and the earth. And the seventh day God ceased from all the work that was to be done. And God refreshed, as we do as well. V'shameru b'nei Yisrael et ha'shabbat la'asod et ha'shabbat v'dorotam berit olam v'niyuvim b'nei Yisrael oti le'olam ki sheshet yamim asa Adonai et hashamayim ve'et haaretz u'biyom hashvi'i Shabbat Shabbat vayi nafash Shabbat Shabbat vayi nafash Shabbat Shabbat vayi nafash Shabbat We turn to page 164 as we rise. We'll join together in the first few paragraphs of the Amidah. Then we'll take some time for our own silent prayers, finishing at page 180 in the Hebrew or 181 in the English poetry that comes along with it in this particular Siddur. But we begin together now, page 164. Adonai sifatai tiftach ufi agid tehilatecha. Adonai, open up my lips that my mouth may declare your praise. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu v'Elohei avotenu v'imotenu Elohei Avraham Elohei Yitzchak v'Elohei Yaakov Elohei Sarah Elohei Rivka Elohei Rachel v'Elohei Leah Ha'el Hagadol Hagibor V'Hanora El Elyon Gomel Chasadim Tovim V'Konei HaKol V'Zocher Chaste Avot V'Imahot U'Mivi Gula Livnei V'neihem Leman Shemo B'Ahava Melech Ozer U'Moshiach U'Magen Baruch Atah Adonai Magin Avraham ve'ezrat Sarah Atah Gibor le'olam Adonai Michaye HaKol Atah Rav le'Hoshia Mashiv HaRuach U'morid HaGashem Mechalkel Chayim Bechesed Mechaye HaKol Berachamim Rabim Somech Noflim Verofei Cholim Umatir Asurim Umekayem Emunato Lishenei Afar Micha Mocha Ba'al Gevurot Umido Melach Melech Memit Umechayei Umatzmiach Yeshua V'ne'eman Atah L'chayot HaKol Baruch atah Adonai Mechayei HaKol Atah Kadosh U'Shimcha Kadosh U'Kedoshim B'chol Yom Yehalelucha Selah Baruch atah Adonai Ha'el HaKadosh. Page 178, a prayer for peace. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Ki ata hu melech Adon lechol hashalom. Ki ata hu melech Adon lechol hashalom. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. V'tov be'einecha levarech et Amcha Yisrael b'chol עת ובכל שעה בשלומך. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Tasim Leolam. Tasim Leolam. We'll turn to page 371 in our Siddur. We think of those who are in need of healing. We ask for God to bring complete healing to Chaya Reza Bat Melech Baruch, David Ben Label, Carly Walker, Corey Chapman, Riley McGee, William Bendon, Darren Black, Naomi Talia Bat Sarah, Gnendel Bat Sima, Don Emmerich, Rachel Bat Avraham Vasara, Susan Schenk, Stanley Sachs, Reuven Ben Shlomo Mordechai Vatzipora, Rivka Bat Pearl, Eileen Hamburg, Lisa Lead, Cindy Bat Rivka, Kathy Twerdock, Paulette Fry, Dick Taxman, Joanne Schneider-Ferris, Michael Weiss, and Carol Salzman. If there are any other names we have for healing, we'll start on this side. Thank you. Any others on this side of the room? On this side of the room, many names for healing over here. Thank you. Any others? For all those we've named, for all those in need, we ask God to bring them refuah shlema, complete healing. Page 371, we'll join together in these words of Misha Berach in the middle of the page. Misha Berach Avoteinu Mikor HaBracha Leimoteinu. May the source of strength who bless the ones before us help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say Amen. Berach Imoteinu Mikor HaBracha Le'avoteinu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shlema, the renewal of body, of spirit, This week in the Torah, we're reading from Parashat Mishpatim. Mishpatim means laws or sentences or statutes. And in this portion, we get to spend some time having Moses deliver to us some laws from God about how we're going to set up our society. When we were standing at Mount Sinai last week, we heard a couple of laws and we said, no, that's enough. The power of God's voice is just too much for us to handle. Moses, you go up the mountain, you get all the laws, bring them back to us. We're going to go sit over here and have a cup of coffee while we're waiting 40 days and 40 nights for you to come down the mountain and deliver us some information. And the information that was delivered was information about how do we set up our society so that society works the right way. What are the laws? What are the precepts that we follow so that things go well for us in our society? And sometimes they don't. The horrible example of that was this week as we brought Kfir and Ariel Bibas home in caskets. 2 young children, 9 months and 4 years. And we wonder, why does the world set us in a place like this? And there's lots of answers that we can say, and I'm not sure that any of them are right. But perhaps one of those answers, among many, is the idea that not enough people took the time and the effort to make sure that society was set up to make sure that it works the right way, to make sure that the things that are supposed to happen, happen, that we can live peacefully with each other, that we can take care of people in need, and that our society works in a way that's fair and good for everyone. And clearly, for who knows how many reasons, it didn't work that way. And what do we take from that? Well, there are lots of things, but one of the things, among the many, that I take from it is that we have a responsibility to make sure that the society that we live in works the right way, so that there's no October 7th attack, so that there's no children who are hostages, so that there's no hunger, so that there's no need, so that the world works the way it's supposed to. And what's one of the ways that we do that? By following the mitzvot in the Torah and making our world a better place. Another way we do that is by raising up our voices when we see that something is broken and it needs to be fixed, because the more broken it is, the more broken it will become, and we need to be the ones who fix it. And that's why a few weeks ago, when we had a 5th Friday of the month, when I always do an Ask the Rabbi night, someone asked, so how was your trip to Washington, D.C. with the teenagers? Alec, did you ask? I think you might have asked that. And what was the answer I gave you?
Wait until this week.
Wait until this week and I'll give you the answer. And I really didn't say I would give you the answer. I said that our teenagers would give you some of the answers. At the beginning of January, I went to Washington, D.C. with 8 teenagers from Temple Shalom to a program called Litakein. Litakein means to repair. And while we were in Washington, D.C., what we did was, well, I'm going to let them tell you. So 3 of the 8 are here. We'll talk in class on Sunday to the other ones who signed up and didn't show up tonight. Both they'll get more. Don't tell them I said you guys get more lunch. We're going to give them the small portion on Sunday. So our class has lunch together before we learn. We're going to give them the small portion. You guys get the big portion. So Levi, come on up. Chloe, come on up. Noah, come on up. How about we'll have you guys stand right here. We'll use this microphone because this microphone will pick you guys up. I'm just going to move this out of the way right here. You guys can all stand right here. And I was going to welcome you to the Phil Donahue show and walk around with this thing, but they have no idea what that means. So we're just going to have them stand there without me running around the room with a microphone like that. And we're going to talk to these guys a little bit about what they did. We're going to take a few minutes so that you can understand what they tried to do, what they did do to try to make the world a better place so that the world functions in a better way. So first of all, you guys want to tell us, we went to Washington, D.C., and we stayed at the, any of you guys remember the name of the hotel?
Oh, it was something Alexandria.
It was the Hilton Alexandria.
Hey, I was close.
It was in Alexandria, Virginia. And first of all, we met, there were how many teenagers from around America were there?
Like, wasn't there like
200?
300?
250 that you guys were with. And just by a show of hands, just how many of the three of you have ever hung out for a weekend with 250 Jewish teenagers before? None of you, yeah. So that experience in and of itself was pretty amazing. So, but first of all, let's talk about a little bit. Can one of you tell us a little bit about services? Friday night and Saturday morning, we got to have services with 250 Jewish teenagers from around the country and about 50 rabbis and educators and staff. And you want to tell us a little bit what that experience felt like to have services with that many Jewish teenagers in one room?
It was a lot because there were definitely more than enough space, but it still felt very crowded. I'm definitely not.
You can share with everybody.
It's yeah, it was still very fun and good to see other Jewish teenagers from around our country. There were new and interesting songs that we have not.
You got to find out that there are melodies that people sing in synagogues around the country that are not necessarily the melodies that you know. Yeah. And what about what did we spend the bulk of our time doing while we were there?
Learning about many different situations that people have been in. One of the times a formerly homeless person came in and talked about his experience and how just someone maybe giving him some food or giving him some spare change really helped him out.
That program was an introduction to the idea. It was a weekend about social justice, about how do we take issues in our world and fix the problems that might be out there. And so you guys spent a couple of sessions learning about that. There were a variety of topics, and as you guys studied about the topics that were available for you, you guys got to find out some of the things from a Jewish perspective. And eventually, you guys picked two topics that you wanted to lobby on. Can you tell us about what those two topics were?
So we had two groups of four. It was me and her were in one group, and then him and the other three that decided to not show up were in another group. But what?
There were 8.
Yeah, but
We'll count the numbers later. What were the topics that you guys were talking about?
Our topic was raising the federal minimum wage because the last time it was raised was 2009, and if for a family of 4, if you are making federal minimum wage, you are about $1,000 below the poverty line.
And before we come to the second topic, so we did go. We went into the offices of both of our senators from Colorado, both Senator Bennett and Senator Hickenlooper, both of whom are Democrats. We went into the office of Representative Crank, who is a Republican. And what with your particular lobbying, what kind of responses do we get in the different offices?
Well, for the Democratic offices, it was a lot more of like, okay, we'll look into this and we'll like see what we can do about this. With the Representative Crank, he basically told us no, but a lot more polite because it's not something that his or like their beliefs fall under. But it was insightful to know like why they did that and what their reasoning was behind it.
What was interesting to me as I was listening to our students lobbying in all of those offices was that both senators and, first of all, none of them are there. They're back home in their districts doing the things they're doing. And Senator Crank, he also was, I think he was not meeting with us because I think he was unpacking the cardboard boxes because he'd been in office for like 3 days. So I think he was still trying to figure out where his phone was, right? So we met with the staff of all of the people. But what was interesting listening to you guys talking to them was that both the Democratic senators who had some support for the particular bill that you guys were lobbying for talked about the problem that existed about how to bring people above the poverty level. The person who was the staff member of Representative Crank's office also said that Representative Crank would like to find a solution to the problem, except he and his colleagues felt that it was a different solution to a problem that everybody agreed existed, but there were other solutions. And it was an interesting thing watching our students learn that someone could agree with you that there's a problem that needs to be solved, and yet find that there might be a completely different way to want to go about solving that problem, even if they agree with you that it's a problem. So there was I thought it was a great lesson that our students got to learn from that particular experience. The second one that you guys worked on was what?
It was to try to convince our senators and representative to lobby to or help vote for releasing the hostages or more of them.
So from additional aid for the state of Israel and having the hostages be released as quickly as possible. The ceasefire came just a few days after we came home from the trip, and the students came to class on Sunday and said, I think we did a good job with that one. Because a few hostages were released just a few days after we came back from DC. And tell me, what was it? Yeah, we can applaud for that, because that was a great thing. But what did it feel like to be, these we were in the offices of people who are senators and representatives, very, very important people in our government, and you guys are teenagers from Colorado. What did it feel like to be able to go in and actually be able to talk to these people these are the legislative analysts, the people who are there? What did it feel like to be able to be teenagers and just go in and talk about that with them?
It was a unique and interesting experience. I've been in political spaces before, but it was interesting being in a building where the things that you hear about on the news, it's happening there, some of the things you hear about. And it felt powerful. It was a powerful space to be in.
We also did a little touring around DC. Any of you want to tell us a little bit about some of the things we saw while we were touring while we were there?
We went to the Smithsonian Air and Space Museum and the National Holocaust Museum. We also ate some really good Thai food.
It was a really good Thai food.
We did.
It was really good Thai food.
And had some really good ice cream.
On the evenings, we give a little free time for the students. Saturday night, we all went out to dinner at a Thai restaurant in Georgetown. And then for those who know, you'll know that we went and got ice cream at Van Leeuwen. If any of you know Van Leeuwen, if you don't, I'll tell you about ice cream later, but it's a really great ice cream place. And then Saturday night, they had a little free time at the Pentagon Row Mall so that they could eat some meals together on their own as well. And coming back to the Holocaust Museum, how was that experience being in the Holocaust Museum?
Do you want to go?
Sure. It was heavy. I mean, I knew that they had an exhibit with a lot of shoes, but I did not realize the size of it and the smell.
Yeah. That was, several of our students commented on that at the National Holocaust Memorial, there's a room that has shoes that came from people who were killed in a concentration camp, and the Nazis had piled them up, and they just took that pile of shoes and brought it into the museum. And it's a huge pile of shoes, and here we are all of these decades later, and there was a distinctive smell about the leather of all of these shoes that you would have thought the war ended in 1945. You would have thought the smell would have dissipated over a year or 10 or 40. But yet many of our students commented on just that, about how there was something that really affected them about the smell of the shoes in this one particular exhibit in the Holocaust Memorial. How about our visit to the Martin Luther King Jr. Memorial?
It was a very interesting memorial. I like how they actually designed it because it just looks like he's just brought out of a mountain. It was a really fun time. We got to see the people who didn't get to be around snow often. It was Texas.
One of the amusing things for me to watch these guys was on Saturday evening after we had dinner in Georgetown, we went to the Jefferson Memorial and we had a Havdalah at the Jefferson Memorial. It was a very cold week while we were in Washington, D.C., and our bus that we were on was Temple Shalom and 3 congregations from Texas, one from Houston, one from Dallas, and one from Austin. And one of the rabbis who was from, I forgot which congregation it was, but picked up the microphone and said, all right, Texas folks, make sure that you zip up your jackets, get your gloves and hats on. We're going to go outside. There's a lot of ice on the ground. I want to make sure that you're okay. So they put on 12 layers of clothing, all the Texas kids. I picked up the microphone and I said, all right, Colorado kids, your parents will want me to tell you that you should put on a jacket. And none of them did.
Don't lie, you were talking to me, you know it.
They lifted up the hood of their sweatshirt and walked outside like Colorado kids would do. Imagine, and some of the parents were able to watch online because it was broadcast online. Imagine being at home and seeing your kid with 250 other Jewish kids observing Havdalah, bringing Shabbat to a close on the steps of the Jefferson Memorial in Washington, D.C. Really an inspiring moment in the week. The lobbying speeches that these guys wrote, Sunday night, late into the night, they were writing away. And one of the things that was really amazing was in all 3 of the offices, our students got a lot of compliments from these legislative analysts who told them, wow, you guys really did your research. You wrote beautiful lobbying speeches. We even got that from all 3 of the offices very much supported the idea of additional aid to Israel and of Congress pushing on the White House to help get the hostages released more quickly. They think that the Democratic senators were in favor of the bill that they brought before them, right? You guys thought that?
I don't think that.
Chloe didn't think so. It had been proposed before, and both of our Democratic senators from Colorado voted no on the bill 2 years ago. So actually all 3, the Democrats and Republicans from Colorado, all voted no on this bill. Again, not because they didn't think that people should get paid more, but because the way this particular bill was written, they didn't like the pieces that were in the legislation as well. But it was a great experience, I think, watching our students to be able to be there and see them really learning about some things that they became passionate about and going into the halls of Congress, going into the offices of the people who have the ear of those members of Congress and really speaking out for things that they thought were important. And they really did a beautiful job with it. I asked a couple of them, a couple who are not standing right here, if it was okay if I published their lobbying speeches in the Temple Bulletin. I got a big giant no. What? But they didn't want to share all of their words there. But it was before we end, just anything else that any of the 3 of you want to share about the whole experience of being at the L'Takain seminar and weekend?
I would say the one thing is the difference between the senators' offices and the representatives' offices. Because the senators' offices are very big, lots of space, comfy chairs. And then we go to the representatives' offices, and you could put your hand up and touch the ceiling. It's just like the shift from it. It was big, and it was mainly because of money, but especially with Jeff Crank because he had just gotten in, had one of the smaller ones, and it was quite interesting to see just the difference between the 2 offices or 3 offices.
100 senators get a much bigger office than 435 representatives get. Mm-hmm. And as Representative Crank found out when he moved into his office last month, when you're a brand new elected congressman, you get the pick of the tiniest offices, and the longer you stay around, your office gets a little bigger. And so our students got to see what it's like, which I think is also an interesting thing. Like you said, what is it like for a freshman congressman to get elected to Congress and be given this office that's about the size of 4 chairs. Okay, so it's the size of 12 chairs, but very, very tiny offices for the newly elected congressmen who were in their very first term. So yeah, it was an interesting thing. They all did comment on that. Any other comments that you guys want to say about your experience there?
I have a question for you guys.
That's
Oh.
okay.
Good. I don't have to ask the question. This is good.
Who had the best office? Like the decorations?
Bennett, actually, I would say Hickenlooper. Hickenlooper was a lot better.
Hickenlooper.
He had this cool display where he had different pictures, and then on the side it had like what the pictures were.
Yeah. So, what was very interesting is that as you made your way through the offices, especially in the Senate offices, the senators have a lot more money to decorate their offices, and each office of all 100 senators is a shrine to their home state. And so if you really want to see what the great things are about the 50 states, you can walk into any office, and you're allowed to. You can walk into any office, and the office staff will be happy to show you this amazing display of, and Hickenlooper had a lot of great pictures from all over different areas of Colorado, but I think you guys were all impressed that he had a picture of his appearance on The Tonight Show. I think that's why you guys really liked all of his, because he was walking out on The Tonight Show like that. So we'll let you guys go have a seat. Thank you for sharing a little bit with us about your weekend. And as our younger students get a little older, I take the group every 4 years. 4 years ago, we took a group. My daughter was in that group 4 years ago. We had 6 students that went 4 years ago. We had 8 students that went this time. I'm hoping 4 years from now, we'll have 10 students that will go. It's really an amazing experience to be able to walk into the offices of the people who represent us in Washington as a teenager and say, these are things that I care about as a Jewish student, and I want to tell you about why I think they're important. And for me personally, I'm happy that we had both Democratic and Republican members of Congress to talk to. There were some students who walked into offices and they only met with Democrats. There were other students from other states, they only met with Republicans. And I thought how lucky our students are that they got to go into offices from both parties and kind of experience what they presented from different perspectives, because some of these other students who came from the states that the delegations are all one party or the other, they didn't get to have that variety in their experience. And so our students really did a beautiful Shabbat service that we got to have together, and we got to spend some time really touring around the city and getting to do something really important of taking our Jewish values and making them work to try to make the world a better place. That's what this week's Torah portion is about. Moses bringing us laws that if we follow will make the world a better place. And when the laws weren't right, the people actually complained to Moses. And what happened? Sometimes Moses says, that's the law, God said so. And other times Moses went back to God and said, the people don't think this is right, what do you think? And God said, the people are right. And God actually made some adjustments in some of the laws, Zelophehad's daughters and a few other incidents in the Torah that teach us these things. And so it's wonderful for our students to share with us, and as our students grow through our education program, more and more experiences we hope that will tie them to their Jewish values. So again, thank you for the 3 of you for sharing with us a bit. If we turn to page 486, we're going to come to the closing prayers of, or actually, not 406, 500. There we go. Where are we going? There we go, 586, there we go. At the bottom of the page, we'll rise for Aleinu as we come to the closing prayers of our service. Aleinu l'shabeach l'adon hakol, lateit gedula leotzer bereshit, shelo asanu kogeye ha'aratzot, velo samanu kimishpachot ha'adam shelo sam chelkenu kahem, v'gor aleinu kechol hamonam, v'anachnu korim umishtachavim umodim lifnei melech malchei hamelachim hakadosh baruch hu Shehu note shamayim veyoser haaretz, u'moshav yikaro b'shamayim ima'al, u'shchinatu zo, b'govei meromi. Hu Eloheinu ein od, emet malkeinu efes ulato, kaga'atuv b'torato, v'yadata hayom v'hashevota elev ahavecha, ki Adonai hua Elo, b'shamayim mima'al, ve'al haaretz, mitachat ein od, middle of 590. Ki amalchut shekha hi olamei timloch bechavod, kakatuv b'toratecha, Adonai yimloch leolam va'ed, v'ne'emar, v'ne'ah Adonai lemelech al kol haaretz, bayom hahu, yeh Adonai echad, Ushemo echad, Ushemo echad. We can all be seated. In our yard sites this week, we recall the memories of Donna Tanner, Edith Schneider, Henry Eskovitz, Jesse Mendelson, Saul Koltnow, Dorothy Severson, Jerry Eberhardt, Larry Himmel, Peter Weiss, Rose Schoenbrunn, Sidney Hill, Eleanor Pophauser, Hyman Zemansky, Helen Bell, Samuel Ishbitz, Betty Cohen, Beverly Eggeman, Bruce Silver, Esther Humash, Gertrude Morrison, B. Radin, Irving Footlick, Leslie Pfeffer, Mikhail Kieksman, Verbal Baker, David Arnstein, Isaac Oxenhandler, Isidore Weir, Lillian Pfeffer, Nathan Starkman, and Ronald Lieber. We marked the recent passing of Ruth Wertheimer, mother of Roger Wertheimer. Services were back east this morning, and the family will be sitting Shiva back east as well. Are there any other yard sites that anyone is observing this week? Yehiyu zichronam levracha, may their memories be an eternal blessing. We ask mourners to rise and those whose custom it is to stand with them. As we turn in our Siddur to page 598, and in their memory we sanctify God's name. Yitgadal v'yitkadash me rabbah, be'alma divra chirutei v'yamlich malchutei, b'chayechon u'vyomechon u'v'chayei d'chol Beit Yisrael, ba'agala v'zman kari v'imru amen. Yehei shmei rabbah mavorach le'olam olmei olmaya, yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh, v'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal shmei d'kudusha brichu, La'ela min kol birchata v'shirata, tushmichata v'nechemata, ta'amiran be'alma v'imru amen. Yehei shalama rabba min shamaya, v'chayim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Osei shalom b'mramav, huya asei shalom, aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. We can all be seated. Before we close our service, call Eric Deutsch from our board of directors with a few announcements of things upcoming in the next few weeks here at Temple Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
Thank you for joining us for this Erev Shabbat service. If you are new or visiting Temple Shalom for the first time, welcome. Please join us for the oneg in the back so that we can introduce ourselves and get to know you. Thank you to Rabbi Jay Sherwood for leading us this evening. Thanks for the teens for getting up and talking to us. And thank you to everyone who contributed and participated in tonight's services. Sunday, Sunday, Sunday. We've got 3 events this Sunday. First, the Boker Tov Sunday Club is having an event from 9 a.m. to noon. You can register for it on templeshalom.com. The guest speaker will be Anna Guerevich, who, among other things, is a volunteer for the Shoah Foundation. Part 2, Mishloach Manot Baking is Sunday from 9:30 to noon. We'll get more Mishloach Manot stuff in a second, but the third thing that's happening on Sunday is the Pickleball Havurah meeting from 4 to 6 at the Barrel Building. Alan Davidson and Susan Eisenman are your contact people to get more information and to RSVP. Also, coming up is ordering the Mishloach Manot baskets. You can order online or via the form in the foyer by Monday, March 3rd. So again, baking is going to be happening on Sunday. Additionally, we're going to need some help assembling those boxes on Friday, March 7th from 10 a.m. to noon. That's all for Sunday. Daylight savings time is coming up, March 9th. We are doing a third film in our Jewish film series, and that's going to be Sunday, March 16th at 4 p.m. We're going to be watching Unbroken, which is the story of 7 children who evade capture and escape Nazi Germany. There will be a wine and cheese reception to follow. If you pre-register for tickets, that's $15, or they'll be $20 at the door. Some really quick save the dates. There will be a second night Passover Seder on Sunday, April 13th. Coming up is Mitzvah Day on Sunday, April 27th. And finally, Israel Day is going to be in Denver on May 4th, Sunday. Those are all the dates. Process them, try to remember them. I've got the paper. Coming up, non-date related things. The board is requesting that you go to your templeshalom.com account and put in a recent picture of you and your family for the directory. If you want help doing it or having someone else do it, call the office for some help. We have heightened security. Please consider additional support beyond your security fees. Thank you to everyone who has donated extra to our security fund to date. If you know of any temple members who are ill, hospitalized, or suffering from a loss, please contact the temple office so we can be sure to provide encouragement and support. Thank you to our Oneg sponsors, Friends of Eric Maher, for providing the Oneg this evening. Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom, thank you. One other date for you to keep in mind that we didn't put on the announcement sheet, I don't know why, but coming up in April, for those of you who are here over Memorial Day weekend in May for our Nefesh Mountain Bluegrass Shabbat. Nefesh Mountain, this amazing band, are back in town in April, and it's a 2-night event. They are appearing at the full Nefesh Mountain band, the whole 6-piece, will be appearing at Oscar Blues downtown on Thursday evening, April 3rd. Showtime is 7 p.m., doors open at 6:30 p.m. But if you buy your tickets from Temple Shalom, or if you bought tickets on your own before we had them and you talked to me, at 6 o'clock, before the doors open, there will be a special Jewish community schmooze. It will be with me and with Eric and Donnie from Nefesh Mountain, a little sing-along and hanging out with them. Only the Jewish community is invited. You must be on the list to be there. We have 40 tickets to the show available here at Temple Shalom. They're $18 each. If you bought your tickets, great. If you haven't bought your tickets, you want to get them because the full band is amazing and it's a concert of their new album. So Thursday, April 3rd, in the basement of Oscar Blues, it's going to be a great show and a Jewish community schmooze before it. And the very next night, here at Temple Shalom, we're going to have the Nefesh Mountain duo of Donnie and Eric, the two people who are the leaders of the band, here for another Bluegrass Shabbat on that Friday evening. We are grateful to our donors. We have some donors who have helped us because they're becoming a big name and they're not cheap to bring around, but we had some donors who helped us bring them back again this year. If you were here on Memorial Day weekend for that Friday night Shabbat, you know what I'm talking about. If you weren't here, talk to some of the people who were here. It was an amazing Shabbat. You will want to be here. You'll want to bring your friends here. You'll want to bring your friends' friends here because it's really amazing and incredible. Come to the Thursday night thing and the Friday night thing. You'll want to be a part of all of it. It's going to be fantastic. Looking forward to Nefesh Mountain joining us. I was just on the phone this morning with Donnie talking about some of the things that we're going to do at the schmooze. You want to be at that too. Page 625. Adon Olam, Asher Malach, B'terem Kol, Yitzir Nivra, V'yeit Nasa, V'chefsa Kol, Azai Melech Shimon Nikra Adon Olam, Ve'acharei Kiklo Tako, Livado Yimloch Nora Adon Olam, V'hu Haya, V'hu Hoveh, V'hu Yeh B'tifara Adon Olam, Asher Malach, B'terem Kol, Yitzir Nivra, V'yeit Nasa, V'chefsa Kol, Azai Melech Shimon Nikra Adon Olam, V'hu Echad V'ein Sheni, Lehamshilo Lehachbira Adon Olam, B'li Reshit, B'li Tachlit, V'lo Ha'oz V'hamisra Adon Olam, Asher Malach, B'terem Kol, Yitzir Nivra, V'yeit Nasa, V'chefsa Kol, Azai Melech Shimon Nikra Adon Olam, V'hu Eli V'chai Goali, V'tzur Chavli B'eit Zara Adon Olam, V'hu Nisi Umanos Li, Menakosi B'yom Ekra Adon Olam, Asher Malach, B'terem Kol, Yitzir Nivra, V'yeit Nasa, V'chefsa Kol, Azai Melech Shimon Nikra Adon Olam, Ve'yado Afkid Ruchi, Ve'et Ishan V'a'ira Adon Olam, Ve'im Ruchi Geviati, Adonai Li V'lo Ira Adon Olam, Asher Malach, B'terem Kol, Yitzir Nivra, V'yeit Nasa, V'chefsa Kol, Azai Melech Shimon Nikra Adon Olam. Shabbat Shalom, everyone. Please join us in the back for Kiddush and Motzi. They're not